So if a man is in a relationship with a woman, he's the person who takes it to the level of marriage. And I'm saying this because Black men don't always date Black women. It's also interracially that they're not getting married.
Well, Black men marry Black women is 80%. And then when they are at a level of financial gain, it's at 90-something%. Right.
Right.
So,
but I'm talking about in general.
Right.
Because you were stating that Black women were not getting married, but they would need to marry somebody, right? And most Black women prefer to date Black men.
Correct. And so your question is, do men control marriage? Well, yes, men are the ones that's going to be asking a woman for marriage, but that man would also have to be saying that there is a suitable person to marry. Would you agree?
Sure. And would you not agree that Black men don't necessarily just date Black women? They have in the Western world, you can usually date interracially, correct? They have options.
So Black men have options, and they still choose to mostly marry Black women.
Right, but even with the options of interracial dating.
Yes.
So what I'm saying to you is, if you have a bunch of men and they're saying, okay, I can't find a suitable Black woman to marry, I'm dating other women and they're still not married. They have the lowest marriage rates among all men across culture, across races, right?
Yes.
Would that not also need to be considered?
Yes, that should also be considered. But think about this for a moment, right? Because I know women like to bypass responsibility of not being married.
No. That's not what I'm doing. I'm asking you about men.
I'm explaining.
I take responsibility.
Hold on, Shane. You gotta let him explain, Shane. You gotta let him explain.
Let me explain why. Right?
Let him
because if the man prefers a Black woman, he doesn't see a suitable option. He then moves, right? The preference is Black woman. Why did he move? Why did he go to another direction and not go with his preference? Because he doesn't see that there is a wife in the Black community suitable to his liking. So he goes somewhere else, right? Now, if he goes somewhere else and he doesn't find what he is looking for, then there's a necessary thing that he should look within if he's the issue, right? You follow that? Right? So if that is the case, which is not, the majority of guys are remaining single, Black men are remaining single because one article talked about that they are able to still get sex and not have to be married. And who is in charge of sex?
Women.
So again,
he was cooking, but I don't know, man. It's like very few Black men marry outside their race, and it's usually the athletes. And the reason women make it seem like so many Black men are marrying other races is because when an athlete who's famous does it, it's planted all over social media. They make it seem like one athlete equals to 10 Black men. And because he has money, like Johnny down the street, a Black man who's married to a white woman, because no one knows him, he's not making that much money. No one cares. But as soon as an NBA basketball player does it, then all of a sudden it's an issue because he's rich and he's taking money out of the Black community to a different race. And those are very few. It's a very few percentage of Black men who marry outside their race. Most Black men marry Black women. That's one. Number two, when Serena does it, Serena Williams, that former tennis player, marries a white man, Black women, if you've seen on social media, all celebrate. They all say how good, how she's making her own choice, and that's her preference. But when a Black man does it, it's an issue. So I'm asking, why the double standards?
I agree, but that would still be a man's problem, right? Because if he can marry, if he's not finding anybody, he too will be a problem. His marriage rate should not be. So what I'm saying to you is, I get that, you only want to marry a Black woman, right? But the reality of it is there are also white women who have Black babies who are not married. There are many cultures of women who have Black babies who are not married. So my thing would be, are Black men not wanting to marry? Would that not be an issue? Because
No,
it's not just an issue with Black women, it's also an issue when they date other women as well.
that's what I said. They would have to look internally if that's the case. But Black men prefer, or any race prefer, to marry within their race.
Fact.
That's just what it is. So what I'm saying to you is that if Black women were more wifely, then you will see more marriages, is what I'm saying.
I kind of agree with that.
Basically, what he's saying is that black men are because of how race loyal, and this goes for both of us. Black women are also race loyal, but because of how race loyal we are, if we don't see marriage within our group, we tend to just stay single, or we just deal with other women, but we don't marry them because the preference is to still marry within our race.
So I think my point in saying that is I think we focus so much on women.
And usually you're going to marry people who you're in close proximity with. So whether it's the people you go to work with, the people you go to school with, the people you're in the same environment with, usually those are people you're going to develop relationships with. So it just so happens that Black men are in proximity with Black women. But as soon as one Black man marries outside, and then they make it seem like every Black man is doing it. But when a Black woman does it, it's her preference. You see the double standards? Which for me, I'm like, focus on the people who want you. Focus on the people who give you what you want, what you deserve, or whatever you think you're worthy. Because I kid you not, the Black women who have an issue with Black men marrying outside their race, if they got everything they want from a white man, or I don't know, Latino man, they would go with him over a Black man. Because if a Black man is not giving them what they want, they wouldn't marry him. So it just makes sense, right?
And we don't focus on each other. I agree, women have work to do, but so do men. We both have work to do. So we always focus on one and not on the other one. You can heal the other one, but it's not going to do anything if you don't do anything to the other one. You understand what I'm saying?
Shouldn't you work on the weakest link?
What you saying?
Shouldn't you work on the weakest link? Where the issue, you should
work on the strongest. You should work on the leader. You're the leader. If the leader is strong and he's doing what he's supposed to do, the woman will fall in place because she is the weaker link.
How that works.
So what I'm
the reason I don't like the whole leader this, because she uses the whole leadership excuse or point when it benefits her. Because the same woman could say, I'm independent, don't need a man. And then on a different side, she's going to say, I want a man who's a leader. Like, you can't have it both ways. It's either you want a leader, you're going to submit, because in one point she's talking about a man being a leader, but the same woman could say, I won't submit. So those things can't go hand in hand. It's like they pick and choose when they want to provide a leader, and they pick and choose when they want to submit.
So, for example, what I'm saying to you is men want to be married, because most men want to be married initially. If you was to go back and look and talk to 18-year-old boys, their mindset is that they will be married typically at a young age. They don't even know what the world is about to do and do to them, and not to be able to see, and also the women that they're going to be coming in contact with, which will change their position, because most young ladies in their 18 to 20s do not want to be married, because women are talking about what type of man they should be getting, right? They talk about the swag and things of this nature, if he got paper or whatnot, when in actuality, the woman should be preparing her daughter to be married by 18, 19, 20, 21, and in those particular years. But women are the ones that are supposed to be responsible for developing wives. Is that true? Yes. And if there are wives available, men will be ready to marry them, is what I'm saying. Do men need work? Yes. I'm not opposed to that. I got 2 sons and I got 2 daughters, and I talk to them about the same. You already know how I rock, Shan. But I'm telling you, since I've been paying attention, women are not wives.
I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question on that.
I honestly think if women are not wives, I know some of you guys in the comments don't like when I say this, but I'm going to be honest. Even men are not husbands. And it goes back to what I said before. None of us has been raised to be ready and fit for marriage. We have grown up in single mother households, single father households. We have not seen what it means to be in a marriage household. We haven't seen what it means to see a dad and mom together work through their issues and not get divorced and not fight. We have not seen that. So there is no way we are just going to wake up one morning and we are these people who are ready for marriage, both men and women. You feel me? So for me, it goes back to the fact that we have not seen it. We have not grown up in marriage, in married households. We have not grown up in two-parent households. We have not seen it. And even the people who grew up in those households, the parents don't take time to teach and advise their kids on how to go about marriage and relationships. They don't. Most of us are here out just figuring it out. That's why if you're not divorced, you're either in a very unhappy marriage, or you don't want even get married. You're just in and out of relationships because we were never taught by our parents, because they were never taught either, because they were never married either.
Humble Dad, can I ask you really quick? I'll be really quick, guys. Humble Dad, is the Black culture woman matriarchy or patriarchy more?
Right now, it's a matriarchy because there's
Matriarchy is where the women are more in control of the family, are the leaders of the family, or are men the leaders of the family?
In general, it's a matriarchy because most of fathers are not in the home. It's 80%. Everybody know the percentages. In the Middle East, though, it's a patriarchy. I lived in India, so I'm aware of that.
Really? You live in India? Okay.
Yes, in Ghana, Nagar.
That's nice to hear. So this is what Shan said. You should work on the strongest person. You should work on the leader. If the leaders are women, then in her theory, shouldn't that be the person that she should work on?
I didn't look at it as a mate. I looked at it as my man as a leader. I don't look at it as me to being a leader. That's why I thought of it that way.
But her statement is she believes that men are the leaders. That's her statement, right? She believes that men are the leaders in her statement, but she's not looking at that currently how Black community is. It's a matriarchy. She's not looking at it like that. She's trying to figure out how can she put blame on both, which is okay. But however, there needs to be a starting point of who we need to be working on first, because both are not able to be worked on at the same time. Because I know guys that are ready to be married and they cannot find suitable people. When I got back into the streets, as you will, the women that I talked to, I could not see how they were going to be married.
Are you married now?
Yes.
How long were you single before you got remarried?
18 months. And the only reason why my story is that I lost my first wife. So I was rocking to death do us part, right?
Right.
And so I'm able to speak to this position a little bit differently than most people.
Right.
I didn't have to get remarried, but I chose to because I have a family. I have 4 kids, and I understand what it means to have a wife in the household. And so I look differently than most dudes. And I'm telling you, if my wife was not ready to be a wife, she wouldn't have been wifed.
Ooh.
So why do you think you were able to get a wife so fast?
Because I know how to look.
So it's on the man to understand where to look or what to look for.
Yes, and she got to be a wife.
And that's what I was going to say.
In real
what
fast,
M. White is saying. Hold on, let me just say this, because you stated that one thing that stood out to me, Humble Dad, is that you stated we cannot work on both sides at the same time, but I don't agree with that, right? Because I feel that the only way that women honestly can get better is, like you stated, by other women teaching them the correct morals and values.
Yeah.
So as women are, or the women that you say are wife material, are teaching other women who are willing to hear and take that teaching on, there should also be men teaching other men where to look for those specific type of women. And I think in the Black community, there is a lack on both ends. Because like you stated,
I mean, they basically just said exactly what I said a couple minutes ago. We were never taught these things. You know, it's easy for me as a man to seek out a good looking woman, thick, big booty, and everything. That's easy. But it's not as easy to seek out a peaceful, supportive, kind, you know, easygoing, good communication kind of woman. I need to be taught that. And one of the ways I can be taught something like that is if I see it, if I saw it in my own household, if I saw it in between my mom and dad. But if I didn't see it, it's even going to be very way harder